Hi everybody and welcome to the bonus podcast for episode 427 of Conversation Street, and we are doing our listener questions segment this week. It feels like these are getting further and further apart, our listener questions. I do enjoy responding to these, but it feels like other things just keep cropping up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes, Gemma, I don't know whether you made
What do you want me to say?
Say no, it feels like exactly the same amount of time.
Too many of them.
Too many. Stop asking us questions, listeners. Just shut up and listen. No, love it, really. If you want to ask us some questions, then you can send them into our Facebook group or email or Twitter or whatever, and we'll add them to the list. In fact, I think we're running a bit low on list of questions at the moment, so maybe in time, before we do the next lot, we'll ask for a fresh batch of submissions. But we're going to start off today with something that's quite timely, yet was sent to us back in January, which was, I don't know,
suspicious.
A little prophetic or suspicious or something. This is from Jodie, who wanted to know if 6 characters got quarantined together, with the proviso of no couples or family members, but ones that normally didn't interact a great deal with each other, who would we have? Now, as you say, this is suspicious, because back in January, the coronavirus was a thing.
Yeah.
But only a little thing.
It was merely an irritant to me because it kept cropping up when I was trying to do hashtags on Twitter for Coronation Street.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a thing. It was a thing in December.
And then we went through a period where we weren't really talking about it on the podcast, so we couldn't have had this as a bonus section anyway. But now it's all fine. Well, finer.
Right.
On our way out. But we feel... I think we're all right to talk about Corrie characters in quarantine.
So... Are we taking this to be COVID-19 quarantines, or have we invented some kind of, like, they've all gone on a space mission together?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I just assumed, COVID-19 quarantine, because that's the world we're living in at the moment. Although whether Coronation Street itself has managed to avoid this, I don't know.
How would you end up engineering a quarantine situation with the 6 characters that you have chosen? Because in real life, you wouldn't quarantine with people that you didn't hang around with unless something very odd happened, like you were all in the Antarctic together and couldn't leave.
Gosh, I really don't know.
You didn't put any thought to the scenario, did you?
No, I mean, usually Coronation Street is quite good itself of just engineering weird reasons for certain characters to be together if they need to be.
Perhaps there was some kind of strange event that led to them all going on holiday together. In Cornwall.
Well, maybe, because as Jodie said, we did have to choose characters that wouldn't normally interact with each other. So, well, maybe I've got loads of answers for this. I've come up with 5, 6, 7 suggestions or so. Maybe they can just all be in a little
what?
I can't remember the convention for whatever the topic is that I've chosen to get these characters together through.
Because in real life, we know some people have been quarantined in situations they weren't particularly intending to, or like going home to parents, or like, for example, my friend, her aunt was visiting and then from Reading and had to stay at their house for like 3 months or something. So we're just gonna pretend that it makes sense
for whatever reason. These characters. Have you got many?
I've got loads, because I did a special weird grid.
You did a grid?
Yeah.
I thought that I was advanced with my list of groups of 6, but okay, well, I'll let you go first then.
Well, okay, so what I decided to do,
I've just had a glimpse of Gemma's list. This looks official, everybody.
Is I thought, wouldn't it be funny if they were selected by personality types? So that's really the theme of what I've done.
Ah, interesting. So that's not what I've done.
All I did was I thought of 6 different personality types.
Yeah.
And then I thought of characters that I thought fit those personality types. And as I was scrolling through the ITV Corrie cast list, as soon as I came across somebody who fit one of the categories, I put them in.
So this is kind of...
So it's sort of random.
It's like the anti-Big Brother, where they purposely put people in a house together who are not the same personality types.
No. This is also designed to possibly be quite explosive.
Okay. Oh, go on then. Let's hear one then.
And I hope that they end up being people that don't normally interact with each other, because like I said, this is literally random. I just went through. So I've got the 6 categories I've done are a fun one, an annoying one.
How on earth did you find any?
A nice one, a boring one, that's going to be controversial, a grouchy one, and a funny one.
Okay, so this is sounding a bit Big Brothery to me.
I think that would be interesting to watch.
Okay.
So, for example, the nice one, I just went through and I just kept going until I found a nice one, put it down. Oh, there's an annoying one, put that next. So it's random. So my first batch then, and I haven't even seen these, this is random, is Abby as the fun one.
Yeah.
Gemma as the annoying one. Aggie as the nice one. Gail as the boring one.
Oh, Gail.
Evelyn as the grouchy one.
Yeah.
And Emma as the funny one. And as you can tell, they're all quite high up in the alphabet.
That's method.
That's a nice female mix there, don't you think?
I might need to see some of these written down. Can I have a sneaky look at you? Where am I looking?
The top.
I'm off the top row over here. Yeah, that works. I mean, it's a mixture of ages. A few, maybe a bit older, heavy.
It's not like this is going to be like a survival situation where we need to rely on Abby's mechanical and saviour tactics.
No, they're just stuck in a house together, aren't they? I don't know what Gemma could bring to the mix in this one. Well,
she's just there to antagonise, same as the grouchy one. I think Aggie would also be a bit annoying if you were in quarantine because she'd be cooking weird stuff all the time. Yeah, Evelyn would tell her exactly what she thought.
I'm just having a look down the list here and I don't know anybody other than, or who's more qualified than Aggie to cook in that group, yet she's not, any good at it.
No.
She'd say, don't worry, I'm a cook, I'll do it. And then everyone would be a bit too polite to turn it, although Evelyn probably wouldn't be.
Evelyn wouldn't. It would be quite funny because Gail and Emma wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And they would just try to eat it. And then Gemma would probably think it was brilliant because she's an idiot. And Abby would just say it's looks like it's coming out, but it's going in. Okay. But then Evelyn would just eat it.
Okay. Right, so that's your first bunch, is it, your quarantine bunch? So I've gone completely different, and I've gone groups of characters that I think... you'll see as I go along. So I think what I would like to see as a viewer, if they were going to have, Corrie quarantine episodes like they've had in Emmerdale, where they've had these two handers or whatever, let's say they've got 6 handers, who would I like to see interacting together? My first desire would be side characters that we don't usually get to see very much at all of in Coronation Street, just to see what they would be getting up to. And because these would be so character heavy driven episodes that they'd be in, we might be able to dig under the surface about what makes some of these tick. So I'm thinking in this 6 I got Moira, Gadass, Dirk, Tommy Orpington, DS McKinnon and Alex. That is a
really good selection.
Yeah. Moira would be, I suppose, it's going by your criteria, would be the irritant in there. I think
Dr. Gaddis would get sick of people asking her questions like, "Oh, am I allowed to touch that, or do we need to wipe this down, or can I catch it if I lick a toad?" Or
I think McKinnon there it wouldn't take her too long to be completely peed off by everybody else that's trapped in there with her, but. If they were, sometimes when you get trapped in a house with 6 people, if this is a slightly different genre, it turns into a murder mystery. I don't know whether she'd be particularly any good at solving that crime.
That?
DS McKinnon. DS, not Fringe McBang's current DS. DS McKinnon, who was interviewed on the podcast, Sandra Huggett DS McKinnon.
Oh, the
anti-felon.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she's awesome, but she just wasn't particularly very good at catching criminals. But we know so little about Moira. I feel I know her, and I don't think I could really bear to be trapped in a house with her, which is why I think that she might be quite good in this mix. But I feel that by putting her in this sort of situation, we might get to learn about her more. I do feel sorry for probably Tommy Orpington in this situation, though, because she'd have her claws right into him.
I think Alex would also be asking him lots of football questions as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Dirk there as an extra one, I thought, why not? If there's only 6 characters in the episode, surely they've got to make Dirk talk during that.
Do you think that by the end they might sort of
grow his favourite biscuit
to love one another and really sort of spill their heartfelt secrets?
Yeah, they could be the next gang. The next...
As opposed to what gang we have now.
You got your young ones, you got your lads at the pub.
So these would be the side pieces.
They could be the new Gail and Susie. The new...
Right. This is fantastic.
Maybe. So, yeah, side characters I would love to see in quarantine. And if it works, they can have their own spin-off. And they can say, screw you, Coronation Street, we're out of here.
We're permanently going to be, like... Who's that guy? Is it the one that was the aeroplane guy, the tycoon that got scared of germs? They could just quarantine themselves forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're scared of catching germs.
Yeah, well, they got Dr. Gaddis there for any medical needs that they have.
They've got everything
covered.
They've
got Gaddis there for medicine. They've got Alex there for food.
Yeah.
They've got McKinnon there for, solving out any issues there are.
Policing, literally.
Yeah. Tommy O there for entertainment and tossy.
Yeah, he can do headers.
I don't really know what Moira would contribute.
She can organise things in lists.
The goss
and see what...
And Dirk's there for... No, they got any boxes that need packing.
I can't think of it's an unbeatable team, isn't it?
Okay, so that's what I would actually love to see as a viewer.
Right.
Give me your second lot.
Here's my second random selection. Jenny. Kirk. Well, Jenny's the fun one.
Yes.
Kirk is the annoying one, because now I'm at a stage now where I've just find him annoying. Alina is the nice one.
Oh, yeah, sometimes not.
Well, she used to be. Oh, here's a controversial one. Leanne is the boring one. Because, what has she done recently that's interesting, apart from have a kid with a fatal illness?
Harsh, but she has been she has been less boring in the past.
Grouchy one, Gary.
Yeah.
And the funny one is Mary. So you've got Jenny, Kirk, Alina, Leanne, Gary and Mary.
Okay. Do you think that they'd be worth watching together?
I think so. I think Jenny would get incredibly fed up with Kirk and Alina. Because I think Gary would just I think Gary would quarantine himself.
I'm not sure whether Jenny would, because she and Kirk did used to be workmates, didn't they, back in the factory? And I think she's I think they might be mates. I think she might have grown used to his sense of humour.
Yeah, I think, I don't know who I feel sorry for most out of this lot. I think Leanne probably. I don't think she'd really like hanging around, because a lot of these people have got quite... Mary, Gary and Jenny have all got really big personalities. Well, so does Kirk.
Yeah.
I think Leanne doesn't really work with groups of characters like this, because she's more of one of these kind of subtle emotional characters who really just react to situations rather than having a sort of a... Well, she does have a very set personality, but that's not the point of her character, is it? It's just... Whereas these people are more like caricatures. So it'd be quite funny to see how they would get on. I think Mary would drive everyone mad.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this
I'd pity anyone who's locked in a house with Mary for any longer than 12 hours. We all remember when Norris was trapped in that house with her back whenever it was, 10, 12 years ago. He almost drove himself insane then. So
Jenny and Mary might rub each other up the wrong way.
Maybe.
I think this would be an interesting experiment to see whether this group of people would turn Gary more or less evil than he is now. Would it end up with everybody being dead apart from Gary by the time we let them all out of the bunker?
That's the murder mystery there, I think you might be right. Okay, my second list is similar to the first, which was my side characters. This is main characters that are just not really used very much at the moment. And I think that by putting them in their little house quarantining together, getting them as a bit of a six-hander, we might get to find out more about them. So I've got Izzy, Johnny, Craig, Sean, Mary and Ruby I've just put in there just for the lols. All of these being characters that haven't appeared much recently. Izzy, I don't know when the last time she had a story was. Johnny has been really sidelined for almost so I take it they're all in France with Johnny. Yeah, this could be French quarantine if you like.
Why not?
We got another copper in there for Craig. We got Sean for the gossip, Mary to keep things fun. I don't think I would be as interested to see this as the side characters, who I am actually quite fascinated about what some of those are actually like, where I could do with, I could live without finding more about Izzy, for example. But I just think given some characters, I'm just thinking about the character development that these situations would give rise to.
Fair thing.
No one's going to say no to more Ruby, surely.
I don't know that they're really... There's nothing about any of these characters that's going to entice the other ones to come out of their shell, I don't think. Craig is probably going to be the glue that holds everybody together. And obviously Mary's going to be the den mother. But, yeah. Okay. Interesting. I like that idea.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Right.
Who's your mix?
Okay,
your random
so
mix?
I've got Liz is the fun one, Brian is the annoying one, Craig is the nice one, Rita is the boring one.
Oh my gosh.
She is boring.
It's sacrilegious.
Nick is the grouchy one, and Michael is the funny one. So you've got Liz, Brian, Craig, Rita, Nick, and Michael. Now, I think this could be quite interesting. Nick and Michael obviously work together, so I don't think they have for very long. So I think we can still get away with it.
That still fits the criteria for this.
See, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the main question is, how would these characters interact if they were stuck together?
You've got Brian down as the boring one, as the annoying one there, but I think that he might turn into the boring one. If he was trapped in a house with someone, I can imagine him just ranting on, telling his boring stories, and everybody would just get a bit fed up of him. Rita she'd be singing by the time the first night's through, wouldn't she? She'd be on the gin. She'd turn into the entertaining one, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to say that the categories couldn't change.
Okay, so this could be an opportunity for a bit of character changing.
Might Nick come out of his shell a bit and stop being so grouchy?
Maybe.
Because he loves Rita singing, and he didn't. He sort of develops a newfound love for the classics of the World War II era.
Yeah. You never know.
Michael, I mean, we don't know a lot about him at the moment.
Michael would have Liz in bed.
I think this might be the making of him, actually, because it might get him over Grace. I think Liz would like to help him with that.
I don't think she's ever said no to anyone in her life.
So you think that Rita's a bit too old for Michael, do you?
Yeah, maybe.
She's a game old bird, though. She might
maybe
let him have a crack. Yeah.
See, I think in this we might see a bit of a red, non-red divide, because Liz used to be a bit more of a redhead in her youth, and then we got Rita and Craig. They might stand up
against a coalition.
Yeah, against Brian, Nick and Michael. I mean, This is the first time they've ever been, it's not quite the majority, but a 50-50 split.
Oh, it's a paradise for gingers.
Yeah, they might, it might steal them up.
It might be like that experiment that lady did, where she did blue eyes and brown eyes, and that teacher about racism, where she said, the blue eyes are the superior ones and the brown eyes are inferior.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so we might see a bit of a social engineering going on.
Okay, that would work. I would watch that. My next category is my hapless idiots, because I might find this entertaining just to see
how stupid they could get.
What silly capers they get up to trapped in the house. So I've probably got some of the ones that are on your list. I've got Kirk, Brian, Steve, Dev, Gemma and Emma. Actually,
this seems like this is my favourite category.
So quite often in Big Brother you put a load of idiots together, or they congregate together.
Yeah, they do seem to. It's birds of a feather, isn't it?
Yeah, I just want to see, how long they'd last, because I don't know whether any of these could even boil an egg.
Kirk, Brian, Steve, Dev, Emma, and Gemma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love Emma, obviously.
Because you're a hapless idiot doesn't mean you're unlikable.
I think if you're quarantined together, you need to have a bit of common sense. Or at least there needs to be somebody with
one person who's got their head screwed on right.
I suppose Brian has, in a way. He's not so much of an idiot.
Brian and Dev would be the two who are more likely to emerge as leaders in this.
Yeah, definitely.
There might be a bit of headbutting actually between Brian, Steve and Dev as to who gets to be top dog.
Yeah.
And they might have to then agree in their hapless idiot kind of way that each of them gets to be in charge of a particular thing. Like Brian might be in charge of the quarantine garden, and Dev might be in charge of supplies or something, and Steve's just, I don't know, what would Steve be in charge of?
I don't know, what's he good at?
Everything else. I don't know.
You can't, if he's trapped in quarantine, he can't use his driving skills.
No, there's no transport needed.
No. I don't know what Kirk could offer.
Words of wisdom.
And I suppose if he's got his guitar there with him, he can give him a good old sing.
Songs, and Emma would love it.
Yeah, she's
Gemma would just be happy to be away from the children.
Yeah, it's like, thank goodness, Jess can look after them for a bit. How long's this quarantine going on for?
I quarantined away from my babies. I miss them dreadfully. No, I don't bother to show them.
I think with the other two categories that I've had so far, I would actually quite like to watch that. But I think with this, I'd watch it and go, oh, that was a bit of an annoying episode, really. Bit too much forced humour.
Oh, okay, yeah. There would be lots of comedy misunderstandings. Perhaps they would use the wrong word for something.
Yeah. I don't know.
They might all die.
Yeah. Do you want to give me your next lot?
I can imagine them all dying. Right, the next lot. Fun one, I've put Tracy, because she can be a laugh, can't she? Annoying one, I've put Izzy. Sorry, Izzy. Nice one is Toya.
Yeah. I was thinking that Toya might appear on your nice list.
Yeah. Boring one is Seb, because he's just boring now, isn't he?
He's
grouchy one.
More interesting.
I got David, and the funny one is Moira. So I got Tracy.
I like the sound of this. This has just turned into a Big Brother question in my head now.
It has, isn't it?
Goodbye, COVID.
Yeah. Tracy, Izzy, Toya, Seb, David, and Moira.
That is a good mix. I'd obviously vote Izzy out first, or.
No, we're not doing Big Brother.
Okay, I'd.
But yeah, I keep thinking about it.
I'd get her to go and test the radiation levels outside first.
I think if it was Big Brother, I think that the last two left would be. I think Toya would make it quite far because everyone would like her and they would nominate her.
Well, the quiet, nice ones can get quite far in Big Brother, can't they?
Yeah, I think Toya might be. I think she might be one of these controversial winners that everyone complains is boring, like that Rachel girl.
Yeah, but she also might wind up the housemates by wanting to just do vegetarian food. Yeah,
that would be a controversial thing, but she would be good at getting people to talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
And anyway, we're not talking about Big Brother. So I don't think Tracy and Izzy would get on very well because although Izzy can be quite a bit dull, she's definitely got a fiery personality.
She can be really blunt and rude.
Yeah.
And I think that she would be not very nice to Izzy.
And so can Moira. Izzy, Tracy and Moira, I think, would spark off each other.
See, Moira and Tracy,
really
they never ever have
way.
anything to do with each other, do they? Do you think they could get on like a house on fire and just gossip about people in the corner, or they could really butt heads?
Yeah, I think so. Seb, he's on there because he's boring, so I just imagine him just being boring.
Yeah, but as one of only two guys in the house, he'd kind of be drawn into David's little circle, and I don't know how they get on. I
think David would quite like Seb to be a minion. I think Seb's definitely a minion boy, isn't he?
Because he was Pat's minion for a bit, yeah.
And David's got that evil streak, so I think that Seb would kind of gravitate towards him and sort of do his bidding.
I could imagine David teaming up with Tracy, just to become the evil king and queen of the house.
Yeah.
Because
I think Toya would spend the entire time just mediating arguments between this group of people.
It's nice to have a counsellor in a situation like this. You're right. Okay, I
can just imagine her just one day asking Seb how he is, and then an avalanche of his personal problems and his terrible upbringing and all of his emotional baggage just all spilling out, and them having to extend quarantine for a month so that he can talk it through.
Yeah, I suppose. With Toya,
same with David.
Toya and Moira used to be workmates as well, didn't they? So you got a link there. Okay, Love Island is my next category. So I've got
the sexy times?
Yeah, I've got 3 guys, 3 girls, but they're all single at the moment. Well, one of them maybe less so. Who's going to team up with who? So I got on the male side, I got Craig, Daniel, who's maybe not, and Seb.
Maybe not what?
Is Nikki? No, Nikki. They're not necessarily officially an item. And then Nina, Emma, and Moira.
So you're going for a heterosexual Love Island.
I am, but I mean, there's nothing stopping any of the others teaming up should they wish.
Yeah, we don't know about Nina yet, do we? But we assume these are all straight characters until the offer comes.
You never know. I mean, it could be that Moira just tries to get Craig, Daniel and Seb, and it means that Nina and Emma have got no option but to get
all
together.
At once?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a manny to that Moira, isn't she?
Well, she got nothing else to do.
Yeah. I would say maybe in this, I can see Craig and Nina pairing up.
So why did you pick these people? Because they're single?
Yeah, I just went for the singleton characters, which they're few and far between, actually.
Very sorry for Craig in this, because Moira, if she decided to go after him, that would be it. But you see, if I was to pair them off, I think that Craig and Nina would be a good couple.
I think Craig and Nina as the 2 niceys would get together, and then who we got? Seb and Emma. Is Seb and Emma? Have they?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Seb and Emma. They know they're
dating. They dated.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? I was just thinking, have they had anything to do with each other? Yes, we're in the middle
they
of
have.
that.
So you've gone against one of the rules there.
No.
Yeah, because they don't normally have anything to do with each other. They live with each other.
Fine, okay. I apologise for that. And then, look, Daniel and Moira, because Daniel likes an older woman. So that would all work out just fine. Without Alina in there, there's no barrier between Seb and Emma.
Yeah.
No?
No, I'm just thinking about who would go with who.
Oh, I think
Craig and Nina.
Yeah. Well,
Daniel
and Moira.
I think Daniel and Emma would go.
No, she's too stupid for him.
She's like Sinead.
Oh, yeah, she's dippy like Sinead.
I mean,
I can't see Seb and Moira having very much in common, though.
No, I know that would be the wild card.
Left.
But Daniel and Emma would get on really well.
Mm. But it could be interesting to watch, to seeing who's going to pair it with who. I'm just kind of thinking from a viewer's perspective, possibly.
I like that idea. Good idea.
Anything else?
How many more have you got?
I've got 2 more.
Okay, do another one.
I've just got some randoms that I like, characters that I'd love to see together. Jenny, Abby, Moira, Emma, Evelyn, Tracy.
All
just
girls.
Some of my favourites all getting together and making an episode with just those 6 people, please, Corrie.
I think these people would work really well. They're all really strong personalities. They're all quite fun as well and funny.
But sometimes if they're too strong personalities, it might mean they clash and
I know, but
about
that'd be
who's
fun
going to be top dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be another really interesting group to watch if they all stuck together.
Okay. Who's your last group of 6?
Okay, the fun one, I've got Yasmin, because she's not fun at the moment, but she used to be fun.
She has been
Jeff
fun.
Came. Annoying one, I've got Sean.
I think many people would agree with you there.
Exactly. Nice one, I've got Paul. Because he's alright as long as you're not a paedophile. Most people don't like paedophiles,
you
so you can't
just
hold
checking
it
you haven't put any in this list. No, you're fine.
No. Sophie is the boring one, because she's boring. And grouchy one, I've put Beth. Oh.
Yeah.
And then funny one, I've got Ruby.
It's funny how both of us had Ruby in one of our quarantine lists.
We've got quite a lot of similar ones, actually. And now Beth and Paul obviously have a bit of a link there. And so Beth and I mean, there's quite a lot of links in this one.
The thing is, with Jodie's question, characters, no couples, no family members or anything. Flipping, everyone's relating to everyone in Coronation Street if you look carefully enough, isn't it? The family tree has the roots stretched wide. It's all interlinked and incestuous.
Yeah. Now, interestingly as well, of these characters, 3 of them are gay. Just randomly.
Oh, yeah.
Sean, Paul and Sophie.
Yeah,
it's because they've got at the end of the alphabet as the beginning of their names.
So Sean and Paul had a bit of a falling out at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a lot
Sean
of links.
didn't like Paul moving in on Billy or something like
that. This would be like the gay pride quarantine, because Yasmin, we know, is a great supporter of gay rights, because she was telling Rana that it's okay to fall in love with a woman even if she didn't realise that she was gay.
Yeah.
And Ruby, I don't know that Ruby has any particular thoughts on gay rights, but you would assume as a child she believes that
I'm sure she'd be all for them.
Love is universal.
Yeah.
Like a child can fall in love with a truck, so everything goes. Anything goes. Beth, I don't know. She's just annoying, isn't she? That's not a sexual orientation.
No. It's a Coronation Street. If the writers choose it, any of them can swing whichever way you want, can't they?
It doesn't really matter.
Tracy.
But yeah. So I don't think there's going to be much romance in this house.
No, I don't think so.
I think Yasmin and Ruby would get on really well. I think she'd take her under her wing.
Yeah, not for romance.
No, as a couple, I think that Paul would have a problem with it.
Okay, fine.
That's it. Is it okay?
My last group, I've just put some old timers like Ken, Rita, Audrey.
Long timers, not old timers.
Yeah.
Because you've got people in this list who aren't old.
People who have been in the show for a long time. Kevin and Sally, I'll put together. I know that they have been a couple, but they're not at the moment. Gail and Audrey related. Yeah,
You've done a bad thing.
I've done a bad list here. I basically just think it'd be nice to have an episode where, because they do this sometimes, don't they? Get the characters who've been on the show for a long time to sit around in a booth in the Rovers and chat, and this would be a whole episode made of people saying, "Oh, do you remember when such and such?"
Ken, Rita, Gail, Audrey, Kevin and Sally.
Yes.
So Ken and Rita were sort of in it in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then Gail and Audrey came in the late 70s.
Ken and Rita, yeah. And
then Kevin and Sally are
80s
80s,
characters.
yeah.
They can all just talk about Corrie. Corrie old, and I think as part of the 60th celebrations, then that would be quite fun,
wouldn't
to
it?
watch.
Gail can do a few soliloquies, get some awards.
Yes. Well, she can compete with Ken, can't they? Because he's a good
award-winning soliloquizer.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my quarantine lists. I still think as a viewer, I'd most like to see these side characters get their own little spin-off. My Seb, Moira, not Seb, sorry, Gadas, Moira, Dirk, just to learn more about them.
You say don't.
And if they're not interested by the end of that, then give them a boot.
Get rid of them. Okay. Well, they say never meet your heroes, Michael. You might find yourself regretting that wish. Yeah. You don't know what skeletons lie in. We know Dr. Gaddis is a wild child.
Oh, that totally is, yeah. We've got a few listener suggestions for this, haven't we? Nancy suggested Michael, Nick, Ryan, Alia, Chesney and Carla. I mean, I don't think many of these have given reasons why. So, maybe.
Michael, Nick,
Ryan, Alia, Chesney, Carla.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Rebecca has said Carla, Michael, Tyrone, Eileen, Gemma and Amy. Again, no reasons. Let you to figure that one out for yourself, listeners. Andrew M has said Abby, Emma, Evelyn, Imran, Daniel and Jeff. We've got a few names coming up again and again, haven't we? Lots of people would like to see Emma in a house together, and Evelyn's come up quite a bit.
Yeah, because
this is the first mention for Imran, though.
Yeah, I didn't put Imran in because he's not fun, annoying, nice, boring, grouchy or funny.
That's harsh.
But he's all of those things, but none specifically, don't you think? Okay. Well, not annoying necessarily.
Yeah, okay.
He can be boring because he's a lawyer, and imagine when you get him chatting about anything to do with his job.
About the nitty gritty.
You might regret it in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Right, that'll do for that question, I think. Let's move on to the next question. Gemma, did you read this first question or did I read it? I think I read it, didn't I? Do you want to say
you want me to read this one?
What's the second question?
Erica asked, if Corrie were to do a time travel episode with any two characters to any era, past or future, which two would you pick and what year or era would they go to?
Time travel episode of Coronation Street. Yes, please. I like the sound of that. As a spin-off, it could be a web episode, it could be a Christmas special, it could just be a thing for the 60th anniversary, it could be dream sequence, but I like the idea of this. I do like a bit of Doctor Who myself, so I'm thinking, who would I stick in that TARDIS with the Doctor and where would he take them to?
I just became acutely aware of my lack of knowledge about historical periods.
Yeah, you texted me earlier this afternoon and said, what do you mean by what have you taken it to mean by historical eras? No. And I said anything goes again.
No, I didn't know whether you meant in Coronation Street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I said it could be.
No, I didn't pick.
Could be if you want to send somebody to the Tudor times, if you want to send somebody to the Stone Age, like Kevin, which is where I think he came from sometimes. So let's send him back again. I
just went with the most basic of children's historical... Like, if you were to make a children's TV show and you were to set 4 episodes, because I've picked 4 groups, where would you set them? And so I just picked the most... Like, I haven't gone classic War of the Roses
British primary school history topics.
Yeah, like if you had a colouring book and you had 4 pages and you wanted people to colour in for historical periods, what would you pick?
Yeah. So you haven't gone any, within the Coronation Street history? Because I think it might be quite nice to have, say, Ken or Emily going back to 1960 so they could see themselves.
Oh, that would be
good. They give themselves advice?
Oh, that's a lovely idea.
Like, to see where he's... I think Ken probably knows. I think out of the two of them, I think it might be... Yeah, it might be nicer for Emily to go back. Because, I mean, if it was Ken, he'd just be able to give himself some advice about stay away from,
trollops,
booze and women. Emily, I'd like her to see how far she's come, because...
Yeah, I know, I was thinking...
Back in the early 60s, she was very, very different to how she is now and what we've most recently been watching in the late 70s, early 80s. She's really come out of her shell, and maybe she could be the monolith that kickstarts 60s Emily into growing a pair and
trying to get after
Leonard Swindley.
I think she would be a bit heartbroken because I don't think her life ended up as she intended. I think that Ken would be disappointed because he'd never realised his ambitions.
Yeah, that probably, that's true actually. It would. If Ken went back in time to see 1960 Ken, he'd probably just want to end it all there, wouldn't he? He's like, what's the point of this then? Okay, I might have a nice string of birds on my arm, a good load of notches on my bedpost by the time I get to the millennium, but is that really what counts in life? And Emily would come back
and say, like, oh, your husband dies and you don't have any kids.
Yeah. So. Maybe that wouldn't be so good.
But you do get to go to Peru.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you're interested in now, but believe you me, it gets more interesting the longer you spend around here.
Yeah, and you get to marry Norris. No, she didn't marry Norris. Does she know what we're talking about?
No, I don't know.
Frida married. What's she do with Norris? Lives with him.
Yeah, you get to live with Norris.
I'll just tell Emily, watch out for accepting crotchety old men as your lodgers, because you end up with Percy Sugden for, 15 years or so, followed by Norris. The lesson would be to Emily. I
think she's
don't be so
masochist.
Don't be so generous. That could be good. Or I'm thinking of other like time travel capers, and when I thought capers, immediately I went to Ogdens as well. So I imagine that if I went back to the 1970s or 80s or whatever and said to Hilda and Stan, you could travel to whenever you wanted to, I imagine that they'd probably try and travel somewhere which would benefit them financially, but they'd come a cropper somehow. Now I know we didn't have the National Lottery back then, but they had the pools, didn't they, I suppose? Yeah. So maybe we could take them on a time travelling romp to find out the results of the pools and then go back, and then for whatever reason they don't actually win them, they can go back
into the Euro Millions instead of the National
something
Lottery.
Something like that, and then they can all be there cock of the walk saying, oh, we've won, what we're going to spend it on, and then the episode ends with them being, it's another fine mess you got us into.
I have to say that we've watched Corrie, so now we're on the third batch of 80 episodes, aren't we, of historical vintage
third decade
episodes. And so far we have seen 2 episodes in which people think they've won lots of money.
I think they're both Ogdens, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, this is why I think that having a time travel is the natural next step for them.
Well, I mean, it doesn't work just guessing, does it? So
yeah, exactly.
And I think if I was to pinpoint who would be the one to supply the time travel machine, it would definitely be Eddie Yates.
Oh yeah. Hey guys, look what I've just got for me made down the pub.
It looks like a washing machine.
It's the real deal, I swear it.
Bought it off a man. Right.
Stan would be like, can we use it to go to the pub, and when it gets to closing time we just go back in time again and get for another couple of hours, and
he would use it.
He would. He'd get to closing time, go back 3 hours and just do the night over and over and over again.
That's probably how he'd spend his lottery money.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, go on. You haven't told me any of yours yet. So who have you got? What period in history would you send some characters back to?
Well, I realised I said 4 historical periods. Yes. But actually, I don't mean 3, because 1 is the future.
I haven't got anyone to the future, although I suppose the Ogdens and their lottery, shenanigans would involve kind of a bit future, of forward travelling. Yeah.
I've chosen the future era of the future. Which
just any
time in the future. We don't know
non-specific
what's going to happen.
Future.
I can't tell you what specific era because it hasn't happened.
Okay, go for it.
So maybe like what's it going to be called after? Because like we're in the second Elizabethan age now, aren't we? What's it going to be? Charles the...
Charlian.
Yeah, what's it called when it's Charles in charge?
The Stuarts. It was last time anyway, I don't think.
The Windsors. Okay, so I'm going to send 2 people to the future, and I'm going to drop them on a random street corner, and I'm going to see which one dies first. It's going to be Renée Bradshaw and Valerie Barlow, both of whom came to sad, sticky ends
they did
because of accidental clumsiness. And
now you're going to kill them all over again.
I just want to see how they die.
Save them from the Grim Reaper's scythe, just briefly, so they can have some futuristic untimely accident. Yeah.
Because there was a famous Fortean case of a strange Victorian gentleman who appeared on a street corner. I can't remember the details because obviously it's not a true story, but it's one of these urban legends. He sort of dressed in Victorian clothes and he appeared on a street corner in America somewhere, stepped into the road and immediately got run over by a car. So that's what I kind of imagine, like one of them would be hit by a spaceship or something, or sucked into a transporter, or like vaporized by something, by like a taco stand, or
I get it.
Alien abduction, perhaps.
If Rini would be, she'd be going on a hoverboard or a flying car or something, or
perhaps you could get a pole in the face.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and Valerie might just electrocute herself by touching something that she shouldn't.
Well, everything's electric in the future, isn't it?
Yeah, it was also all good, because we're not going to have wires anymore, are we? So electricity is probably going to be going through the air to charge your phone up, and she'll be like licking batteries or something.
I think so. I think you're right. Okay, so future for those two. I've just got a few random other ones. I've got things like... Have you got anyone going to the Victorian times?
Well, I do.
I do have one. I've got Simon and Peter going back to Victorian times, because I think that Peter would make an awesome workhouse boss there.
Or would Simon be his urchin?
He would. He'd totally be he'd be up that chimney, and he wouldn't even need a brush. He'd just use his hair.
No.
What? He'd shove it right there. I'd have Simon
He's
climbing.
He's got an unruly mop, but you can't make fun of children's hair.
I do not apologise for this. So yeah, I think they might work well in Victorian. Have you got Victorian era then?
Well, I've got Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
I'm going to send Adam and Gary back in time to solve the mystery of who is...
Even better, send back Pat Phelan to be Jack the Ripper. He was never identified. We don't know who it was.
No,
could have been a time-travelling Pat Phelan or Richard Hillman working together.
I have to tell you, though, that the modus operandi is very dissimilar to any murders that we've ever had on Coronation Street. I don't remember any of the great villains of Coronation Street eviscerating people and draping their entrails. That's how he's going to make sure that nobody knows it's him. He's got to have a different MO, doesn't he? I don't think he needs to hide his identity. I don't think anyone's considered a time traveller when it comes to solving the mystery of Jack the Ripper. But I wanted, because I think they both think they're good detectives, because we know Gary.
I forgot who you said now, because I got
Gary and Adam.
Okay.
Right, because we know that Gary solved the mystery of how to get into the safe by using the clues.
Yeah.
And we know that Adam's trying to work out what exactly happened to Rick. So I think these two, who are enemies at the moment, it might be fun if they went back in time, sort of maybe fell in love with Catherine Eddowes or something, and tried to save her, one of the victims, and so had to work out who...
Well, tell you, better to send those two to try and solve the mystery of Jack the Ripper than sending any of the actual detectives on Coronation Street. McKinnon, Abney, what's the other one that we had recently? Who was it that... I'm losing track of it. They're all rubbish. Who was that one?
I don't know.
Oh, I've forgotten what her name is. Oh, well. Yeah, okay, I like that. Anyone else?
What?
We don't have to take
Victorian.
it in turns, I mean.
Okay, I'm going to send Todd Grimshaw and Dennis Tanner to caveman times to see who can use their cunning to become head of the tribe. Okay, because they're both cunning and manipulative, aren't they?
They're wily fellas.
So I'm going to say it's going to be young Dennis Tanner I'm sending back, because otherwise it's not really fair.
Yeah.
But I think that they would not last that long, but I think they would overestimate their skills. I'm assuming they can speak cavemanish.
Well, that's why we need to take Kevin along as a translator, or Tim maybe.
Tim and Kevin, yeah, they would be like, did you just feel something weird happen? No, I didn't. What's different? Nothing. Staring at a rock, going, the TV is on the blink. This match is not as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Go down to the river. As long as the water's fermented slightly.
And if somebody tries to steal your bird, you just punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any problem.
Yeah.
Punch it first, and then if it's still there afterwards, start to engage the higher brain process if you've got one.
Okay, here's my next one. I would like... Oh yeah, I've got two people here. Fizz is going to go back to Roman times and be Boudica.
Fizz.
Yeah. And
what, just because of the hair?
Yeah. Well, she's feisty. She's fiery. I reckon that she might be she'd have a crack at leading a Anglo-Saxon. Are they Anglo-Saxon army?
Yeah.
And I would take Evelyn with her just so that she can find out how the name is pronounced, because we know that was a debate on Corrie a few weeks ago.
I would call her Boadicea.
She'd just be there as a...
What, just to explain what her name is?
Yeah, she'd want to know. I think that if Evelyn...
So what happens to the real Boadicea?
No, there isn't one. It's just like Fat Feeling going back and being... I'm not stepping on any butterflies here. I'm not changing the past by sending my characters there. This is what happens. Fizz is going to go back in time, and she's going to be queen of the Iceni tribe. Yeah. And Evelyn's, as I say, going to be tagging along, find out how you pronounce it, and go, I knew it.
Right. Okay. Well thought out.
Thanks. And I think that she'd make a great she'd be a good
Wise
military
woman.
commander as. Oh, she could be a wise woman.
She could throw entrails on the fire and go, "It says you will win."
Yeah. I've got Ken and Daniel going to go and see some Shakespeare. I don't know whether that'd be that interesting an episode, to be honest, but I'm sure they'd love it. I've got I thought that maybe we could send Jeff through time to various places, and he can be horribly tortured at each place that he stops at. So he can be stoned. He can be
hung, drawn, and quartered.
Maybe that'd be the grand finale.
Yeah.
He could be dunked in a pond, burned as a witch. Something.
That
maybe
horrible bull that you put someone in and you set it on fire and they burn alive inside the bull.
Yeah.
And the screams come out of its mouth.
I think that lots of Coronation Street viewers at the moment would quite enjoy seeing Jeff being tortured in multiple ways.
Stick him in an
Each
Iron
one
Maiden.
more grisly than the other. Yeah. Anyone else for you?
I've only got one more.
Oh, go on.
I'm going to send Elsie and Carla back to medieval times.
Why Elsie and Carla? That's
because I would love to see Elsie and Carla together, because Carla in her heyday and Elsie in her heyday were both kind of similar. You know,
Yeah.
They're like unlucky with men. They're feisty. They're fiery. They're quick-witted. They're domineering.
Yeah.
I mean, Elsie never had the professional success that Carla had, but perhaps if it had been a different era, she might have.
So when are you
had more of a
sending them
chance.
to? The medieval times?
Medieval times to become witches.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Okay.
And try to avoid being burned at the stake.
Okay. I wondered whether if we were to send Carla back, or maybe, can you think of any characters, probably lady characters, who would like to have a bit of a time travelling adventure to just revel in some historical fashions in some way? Like Carla would probably quite like to go back to the 60s.
I don't think Carla's into fashion.
And she just shoes and bags.
She just wears black all the time.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, can you think of any characters that would enjoy?
Well, we know that Sinead's life passion was fashion, wasn't it? When she wanted
yeah.
to open that shop of vintage clothes. So
I think that she is the result of a time travelling expedition
she used to work
from the 60s
Miami
sometimes.
Modes.
Yeah.
No, what's the other one?
Gamma Garments.
Gamma Garments.
Yeah. Okay, because I think if you got a chance to go in a time machine, you'd quite like to go and try on some clothes from the past.
Why would I do that? I could go to a vintage clothes shop and do exactly that.
Oh, you're no fun.
Why would I waste my time travelling on going to find people's crusty old clothes?
This isn't a Three Wishes situation. It's not 3 trips and you're done. You got the whole of time and space to explore.
What would you explore? I would like to go back to the dawn of man and look and see what the heck happened and watch them and see what people used to be like and how people used to interact.
I don't know where I would be.
I think most of the time it wouldn't really behoove me to. When I imagine myself travelling back in time, I do imagine myself being like a disembodied kind of ghost that watches things happen. Because I would not like to be involved in being attacked and.
So you'd like to have a bit of an Ebenezer Scrooge time travelling experience where you can see what's going on, but
don't want to be raped, don't want to be murdered, don't want to be enslaved. But I also sometimes find myself stressing out slightly about, in the same way that I used to be worried about quicksand, if I were to be sent back in time, would I know enough to be able to use my my current modern era knowledge to benefit myself? And I think no, because I don't even know how does the computer work. Do I know anything of any use, or would I just get burned as a witch?
I'd go back and I would just be Tony Warren, and I would write down 60 years worth of Coronation Street stories that I got stored in my brain and say, right, make that now, please. Just give me the money first, and then I'll be set up for life.
What would happen is they'd ignore you. The real Tony Warren would come along and do what normally happens, and then around 2020 in December, somebody would find a piece of paper in the back of a filing cabinet, open it up and go, bloody hell, everything that's ever happened is written down here. But that makes sense because it has already happened. I
think it'd be quite cool to go back, with my Coronation Street fan hat on to see the early days.
Oh, I'd love to watch.
Street. I feel I've already in some ways been through a Coronation Street time travelling adventure this year just by going back and watching those old episodes on DVD. But that has made me thirst for even more to actually go back and, just be there for the filming.
Yeah, definitely. Watch them all behind the scenes.
Or when Tony Warren's being kicked back and told, no, you can't make this, go and write some more Biggles, please. We'd be there to say, no, you can do it, Tone.
Go on, go for it.
Go, Gad. Go, lad.
I would like to spy on. I would like to see what it was like to be a celebrity in Corrie at that era, because it was crazy. And now I'm on the second volume of Pat Phoenix's autobiography. I'd actually quite like to follow her around a little bit and see her shenanigans. I wish I could have met her. She was amazing.
Yeah,
that would be quite fun to go back and meet all the.
That'd be cool. Because we get to meet lots of current Corrie cast, but I don't think we're going to be meeting Pat Phoenix.
I'm not going to meet Pat Phoenix or Tony Warren
soon. No. But if you went back in time, you'd have lots of spoilers about Coronation Street that you knew. Maybe go to the future. No.
I don't really want to go to the future. I'm already going to the future.
If I knew that I had some horrible illness and I wasn't long left for the world, I might spend my remaining days just going to the future, like the very end of Coronation Street, and just reading up everything that happened, just so that I can die knowing what happens in the rest of Coronation Street.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, there's some things I want to know what happens before I die. I get really mad if I died without knowing.
I know. People go through this all the time.
But I guess it's better to know you're going to die, have a time machine, and go to the future, find out, than it is to get to the world where we are reaching the end of Coronation Street. You wouldn't want to live through that.
There's an inscription from a gravestone. His only regret was he didn't know how Coronation Street ended.
Let's hope you that's relevant then.
Yes, I hope so. I'm just having a look at my list, see if I've got anything else. No, the only other thing that I've written is that maybe characters could go back and have their mind blown by meeting earlier versions of themselves, like current Nick or current Tracy, where they could go back to the 90s. I quite like the idea of a 90s episode, because I'm a bit of a 90s kid myself.
Yeah,
and just saying, blimey, look at those curtains, says Nick to himself. And exactly. I don't know, that's not a particularly interesting idea to end it on. I think we've explored that pretty well. I wonder, do we have any suggestions from Nick? Not from Nick, from what did I say? I've just read the word Nick on the screen, so that just... Nancy has said that Carla and Nick going back to 1976
would be fun, and also Elsie and Beck going to 2018.
Oh yeah, having older characters come into the future, having some older landladies. I know Elsie wasn't, but coming to the future to see what the pub was like.
Wouldn't it be funny to get Annie and Jack to see what they thought of Jenny and Johnny?
Nobody would live up to their standards.
I think she'd be very impressed by the marble table in the back room.
I think maybe.
She'd be a bit jealous about that, I think.
Yeah, but then she'd take a look at it and see that it's just fake, because that's what happened to us. And
she'd be like, where the hell's the select?
Just be a bit disappointed.
What have you done with it?
That's a very good point, actually. If Annie Walker came to Future Rovers, there'd be,
And she'd say, why did you move the dartboard? It was absolutely perfect where it was, in front of
why
two
have you
doorways.
Switched the way that Ray round the stairs are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many questions.
Rebecca has suggested that Ken and Peter could go back to episode 1. Julie and Eileen, the 1960s. And we need reasons, guys. Come on. Relevant to the current story, Carla and Peter, Rebecca says, going back to the 1960s-ish, whenever Johnny and Scott were friends.
1970s-ish.
1970s-ish, sorry, to find out the mystery of Scott. Because it doesn't look like Scott's going to be telling them anytime soon, and Johnny's stuck in France.
Yeah.
I mean, we are recording this on Thursday at the moment, so you never know, maybe in tomorrow's episode it's all going to get blown out and we'll know everything about Scott. But sometimes if you've got a mystery, you just want to time travel to find out the answer, because people won't open up about it. And then Andrew suggested, what would it be like to see Annie Walker's behind the bar of the Rovers now? Yeah. Interesting.
So he's imagining her just like going, right, get out of the way, I'll do it.
Let me show you how this is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'd love to have Annie back.
Yeah, well, you can't.
Right, I think we're done.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this.
Jodie and Erica, that answered your questions thoroughly. I think we were pretty thorough.
Yeah, we're always pretty thorough. And they always regret they asked.
To the point of...
regret.
Yeah, mind-numbingness.
Tedium.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you enjoyed this episode of Mind-Numbing Tedium, let us know.
Write a review on iTunes. So even in their moments of mind-numbing tedium, it's still 5-star podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you've got any suggestions for who you'd like to see in quarantine, or ideas for a Coronation Street themed time travel episode, please do write in and let us know.
Conversation Street
at
gmail.com.
Correct.
And Conversation Street, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere except TikTok.
Time travel to where we are.
Don't download TikTok.
Why not?
Chinese government spies on you.
I don't have TikTok anymore. Okay.
No.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And don't download Snapchat because it's baffling.
Yeah, go and listen to our main episode if you haven't listened to it already. Yeah. I'm sure it's awesome. And if you have, that's it for another week, I'm afraid. We'll be back next time for more Conversation Street goodness. Ta-ra for now from me, Michael, and her, Gemma.
Oh, shut up, Michael. That's the new catchphrase.
Bye.
Bye.